Other time signatures. Until now, we have talked about the most common time signature, 4/4, the one we see here. The 4/4 time signature is not the only time signature. Music is much more diverse than so. What we will talk about in this lesson are two types of time signatures called the 2/4 time signature, the one we see here, and the 3/4 time signature, the one we see over here. First, we will take a look at the 2/4 time signature. Now here we have a closer look at the 2/4 time signature. The top number, the 2 here, shows the number of beats or counts in each measure. It shows the number of beats or counts in each measure. Now the bottom number shows what kind of note gets one beat. The bottom number, 4 here, shows what kind of note gets one beat. It's actually the same system as with the 4/4 time signature, but the numbers are different. So what this all means is that in a 2/4 time signature, there are 2 beats in each measure. 2 beats in each measure, and that a quarter note gets 1 beat. A quarter note gets 1 beat. Now here we have an example. Here is the 2/4 time signature, and it means 2 quarter note beats in each measure. So we have 2 quarter notes, and then we have a bar line, which means that's the beginning of a second measure. Here is the first measure, and we have 2 quarter notes, and then a bar line indicating that we have come to the end of this measure. And last, we have these 2 quarter notes here, and to the final bar. So we have 3 measures, and in each measure we have 2 quarter notes. Let's take a listen. Now you could hear the metronome clicking in the background, and each time the metronome made a click, we had a quarter note. So each quarter note takes 1 beat, and there are 2 beats or counts, if you like, in 1 bar. So if a quarter note takes 1 beat, what would a half note take? Now, half note equals 2 quarter notes. By saying that in each measure there are 2 quarter notes, a half note would make up for 1 measure, and a half note would take 2 beats. Therefore, we have a half note here making up for this measure. Then we have a bar line. And in the second measure, we have another half note and a bar line, and then the last measure. Now, let's take a listen. But what about if we have a rest? Well, the same thing applies to the rests. The only thing, we will not hear any notes when we have a rest. That's because there should be silence. However, we will hear the metronome counting the beats in this example. And here we have put in a half note rest. As the half note rest has the same duration as a half note, you will hear the metronome counting while we have the rest. It will count twice if you listen carefully. So the metronome is going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's take a listen. Are you getting the idea? Good. The 3/4 time. This system is the same. The top number shows the number of beats or counts in each measure. The number here is 3. The bottom number, 4, shows what kind of note gets one beat. So this actually means that there are 3 quarter note counts or beats in each measure. So if we have 3 quarter note beats in each measure, it would look like this. 1, 2, 3. Then we have one measure, bar line, and 1, 2, 3. One measure more and another bar line, and then the last measure here, 1, 2, 3. Let's take a listen to this example. You will hear the metronome clicking in the background. Now, as you could hear in the previous example, each quarter note received one beat. A half note is the double duration of a quarter note, and therefore it receives 2 beats. Now the quarter note rest has the same duration as a quarter note, and therefore it receives 1 count or 1 beat. So we could count it like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You get the idea? Let's listen to the example. Let's listen to this again, and I will count the beats along with the metronome, so you get a better picture of what's going on. Let's try this again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You get the idea? Great. Now finally, let's look at another example. We've already said that in 3/4 time, a quarter note or rest equals 1 beat. And we've said that in 3/4 time, a half note or rest receives 2 beats. But what about a dotted half note and a dotted half rest? Well, let's take a look. If you can remember from our previous lessons about augmentation dots, we talked about that the dot, this dot here, lengthens the note for half of its original size. A half of this original size is a quarter note. So what this means is we have 3 quarter notes. We have 2 quarter notes originally, and by adding the dot, we have 1 more because 1 is the half of 2 quarter notes. Therefore, we have 3 beats, and it occupies the whole measure in 3/4. The same applies to the rests. A dotted half rest equals 3 quarter rests, and we have 3 quarter beats in each measure. So, if we listen to this example, you will hear the metronome clicking 3 times here, 3 times here, and 3 times here. Let's take a listen. You get the idea?